Welcome, everyone. This is our Android Week with Alan Furstenberg in New York, Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia, Duke Carrico in Kingsport, Tennessee, Thaddeus Kalud in California. Also in California, Pam Adger. This is our Android Week. Good to have you with us. I am Dan, your host, who is barely qualified to run this program, but for some reason I'm still here. Okay, so our first story is this. It's entitled "In IBM and Apple's Wake, What Will Team Android Do?" And this was kind of more of an op-ed piece, and I thought we'd begin with this. So let me throw it to Alan. And what are your thoughts, Mr. Dr. Furstenberg? Sorry.
Well, first of all, let's understand what's going on here first. Last week, Apple and IBM signed an agreement such that IBM was going to start making some more vertically oriented iOS applications that work with IBM's channel partners and IBM's cloud-based solutions and all of this IBM stuff. And Apple would go along for the ride. It wasn't actually clear to me what Apple's end of the bargain was, but it doesn't matter because they come out big time in this. So really, Apple gets a great entry into the enterprise. IBM gets a great entry into mobile. Both of them are happy. So what's Google going to do to reply? And this article tries to kind of muddle its way through what they think Google is going to do. Not a very good article, I have to admit, but it raises some good questions. So it says, Samsung's been trying hard to get into the enterprise. This is essentially going to, make all their efforts almost non-existent. Google's going to need to partner with a powerful enterprise presence, since it has barely an enterprise presence. They jokingly comment about how Oracle would be an ideal choice if it wasn't for the fact that Oracle and Google hate each other. But beyond that, they would have been a good choice. And it kind of tosses around some vague, I don't know, wouldn't it be nice if HP did something or Lenovo did something or... I don't know. What do you think, Thaddeus?
I think they rose a good question about Lenovo, only because Lenovo is over here making Android phones, but yet they also work very closely with IBM. So I thought that's going to be a real interesting deal to try to work out, I thought. Other than that, I kind of don't see it as any kind of real major threat to anything.
Really? I'm surprised. I see this as a major threat to Google's to Google's cloud solutions. I mean, one of the things we saw a lot of at I/O was Google pushing the concept of, hey, we've got a great mobile platform, we've got a great cloud platform, put the two together, you've got a really awesome platform. Kind of with very, very minor digs at Apple for not really having a good cloud platform. And here Apple comes along and says, hey, yeah, we've got iCloud, but even more importantly, we've got IBM. And, you can go home now, because IBM's been doing cloud-based stuff for 20 years. And they've got a pretty good point.
I don't know. I guess we just need to see what they actually do, though. Because a lot of times we see these partnerships and we never hear anything else about them or what comes of them. So I don't know. I kind of feel this was more of a publicity stunt. To say, oh, we got IBM, yeah, and then you don't hear nothing else about it.
That's a really good point, actually. I mean, we've seen IBM and Apple partner up at least twice in the past now. And one of the times it was an utter disaster. What was that, Taligent? Do I have the name right? That was just fiasco. And another time it was a modest success for Apple and IBM when Apple moved to the PowerPC chips. But that was a short-lived, event. So yeah, no, it's a very good point. Next topic, Dan.
Okay, so I got to throw this out there. Where's BlackBerry in all this? Uh,
Who?
Who are you
exactly.
talking about?
I mean, I had a BlackBerry and amazing hardware, just like Motorola, but they fizzled in the last 2 years. So, are they going to be a player in the future? Are they going to get their act together? Or, I mean, they're largely, my God, they haven't come up with anything relevant that we've discussed uh, in a year and a half. What's the deal? Is BlackBerry, they're still there, right?
BlackBerry's problem at this point is that the world has moved beyond messaging. And if everyone was still stuck at trying to figure out messaging, or if messaging was the only important app out there, then yes, BlackBerry would still be fighting. But it isn't. I mean, what these are showing is that you can have some very, very powerful vertically integrated apps. And IBM's now going to walk up to you and say, hey, we can give you a turnkey solution, all the apps you need, all the processing you need, and we'll toss in a few iPads for free. And they've got the power to do it. What's BlackBerry going to do? Hey, we got a phone, we got a tablet, you can message other people. And it's just like an Android phone after that. They the one killer feature that they had for the enterprise, their killer messaging, isn't so killer anymore.
Yeah, initial. I mean, their big their claim to fame was they were secure. I remember they were legal action was brought against them by India and some other countries about how secure they were. So that was a great endorsement. And when Barack Obama became president of the United States, the Pentagon said you can have a smartphone, but it has to be a BlackBerry. So that was a good ad. And but then we saw the playbook, I think, which was a disaster in sales. And I don't know. It's just their hardware was superb. The keyboards were great. So we'll see what happens. If they make it. All right. Next up is the iPhone 5s. After 8 months, outsells the Galaxy S5 in the first month. What's your take, Alan, on the never-ending battle between Samsung and Apple, and which is a de facto battle between Android and iOS?
Well, this was an amusing story because it basically said that, look, for all that Android folks are cheering about how successful the S5 sold, the iPhone outsold it in the S5's first full month. And okay, you can make the argument that's not a great example, but the fact that the iPhone 5S is 5 months old, or 8 months old at the time, and it outsold a brand new shiny device, yeah, that says something about just how much people really like Samsung these days. You clearly have something to say about this one, Cadeas. Go for it.
Well, I just feel that people measure this incorrectly. The iPhone, okay, you have iOS as a platform where there's now there's 2 phones you can pick from. And then you have Android as a platform, but they tend to just zero in on one device as opposed to looking at the whole entire platform as a whole. I don't know why we're comparing Samsung's one phone as opposed to comparing Android to iOS, because that's literally what's competing. You're not necessarily competing with the little things like camera and this and that. It's really the OS versus the OS. And if you look at it from that perspective, you do see that Android is outperforming the iPhone. So I don't know, these little, I guess if it's Apple versus Samsung, then yeah, Apple dance circles around Samsung. But that's really not what the battle is, I think.
And especially not in light of this second article, which I also posted here, about the Business Insider journalist who switched to the Samsung and basically wrote an article saying, look, you iPhone guys, you don't know what you're missing, because this is actually pretty good. That said, I've seen this article kind of mocked a little bit because he spends most of his time talking about how big the screen is and doesn't really talk about too much else. But he does. I mean, he talks about the fact that it works a little bit better on some things, that there are certain applications that it does do better, certain ways that it handles things better. And, that Apple fanboys don't really know what they're missing in some cases. So I thought it was a fairly well-balanced article. What did you think of the comparison one?
I'll put my two. Go ahead, Kadesh.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm looking at this, and I think that there is an argument to be made. If you have one device, a big screen is great. But if you have a tablet, like I have my Nexus 7, although sadly I report that the newest versions, 4.4.3 and 4.4.4 or whatever, that I got a week apart, have rendered my Nexus 7 virtually useless because it's so freaking slow sometimes. It's so frustrating. I don't know what they've done, but it's just like simple, like opening up a browser is like 2 minutes. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know what the hell they broke about the Nexus 7. But hopefully they'll fix that with the next version. But yeah.
Don't panic. You're not getting another version.
I'm done? I mean, this is it?
Your Nexus 7 is 2 years old. It's over 18 months old. Therefore, it is officially...
Well, that sucks because I wish I could revert back because it was much faster prior to the quote-unquote upgrade. Because are you seeing the same thing? Because we both have the same generation. Yours has the white back, because you got it at I/O. But we both have the same generation of the 7-inch.
I haven't used my 7 in a while for various other reasons, so I can't report on it.
You don't have a bathroom? I mean...
No, I do other things in the bathroom besides read stuff on my tablet.
Well, that's TMI, but we're cool. But yeah, so I have a Note 2, so I can totally get the big screen thing, and Pam has a Note 3, and she's a big fan, and we've had this conversation back and forth about the advantages and disadvantages of a screen, and she adores her Note 3. I adore my Note 2, but the bottom line is it's impossible to use one-handed well, and that's one advantage the iPhone has. It's a small screen. So they're apparently, with the new iteration, going to chase a larger screen format. But I'm a proponent of saying, there are times when you're in a desktop environment, like right now, where I have a 32-inch screen and a 28-inch screen, and there are times when you're mobile and you want, to be able to do stuff on the fly. And there are times when you're sitting on the can using your extraordinarily slow now with the new update Nexus 7 or iPad. And all of those have their benefits and their pros and cons. So that's where I would leave that. I mean,
what's the comment you got for us, Kadeus?
I almost wish that I could have a smaller phone now. Because it's a pain in the ass to use with my one hand. Go ahead, Kadeus.
Captain Euro says that he visited Spain a week ago, the third largest city in the EU, and saw hundreds of smartphones during his stay, but not a single iPhone.
Interesting.
The world's moving on. They're bored. They don't
like their floating icons, I guess. Okay. All right, so all that happened. All right, next up is Chrome for Android updated with improved text rendering for non-mobile sites. We're doing a big push, Alan, with the Area Guys network, where we're offering websites that will adapt based on whether you're entering that site or pulling it up on a phone or a tablet or desktop is Chrome, which is now the leading worldwide, I think, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the number one browser everywhere. Is Chrome going to make that not necessary? And what's the deal here? This is a very exciting development where you can go to some horrific site on desktop, and then Chrome will just fix it and make it adaptive to mobile on the fly.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, what you're talking about is building websites so they are responsive in design. And no, this doesn't really do anything about that. Good website design should always have been responsive. The fact that we had some highly deluded web developers for a number of years that thought it was a good thing to say what the minimum and maximum screen size was is really the product of a deranged mind. And the fact that we are now have finally gotten away from that because people with little phones have started beating those web developers over the head is great to see. What they mean by non-mobile optimized sites, I think, and I'll be honest, I don't know because I haven't actually found anything that is clear about what this means, is that for sites that are not using mobile-friendly fonts, and there are a lot of fonts out there that are not mobile-friendly, it's going to handle those non-mobile-friendly fonts a little bit nicer than it used to. I think on one hand this is a good thing to see. On the other hand, Chrome support for fonts has... What's the best way to describe Chrome support for fonts? Abysmally crappy! And they've had a historic problem with font support. I mean, just it's horrific. Internet Explorer does a better job with fonts than Chrome does, and that's saying a lot.
Wow, that's an indictment.
So, you know, if they're getting it better for mobile, maybe that means they're actually getting it better for desktop too. Would be really nice to see. So I'm hopeful. What do you think, Kadeus?
There we go. It is. I couldn't really figure out what they was making reference to because it just says that it's just going to do it better, I guess. But I'm not quite sure. And honestly, I don't know why people would still be developing with horrible fonts for mobile anyway. Like that should be the center of your development anyway. Is mobile. So I don't know. I want to see what they're making reference to. What you gonna say?
Nothing. I think that it really just boils down to some default font choices are just bad default font choices for mobile. You know, they're good default font choices if you're using OS X or Windows because the fonts are installed there, but they're not necessarily installed there on a mobile, and people who aren't developing heavily for mobile don't think about it and don't realize that the fonts may not be that good. I'll be honest, I don't know what fonts they're talking about specifically. So I hope they know what they're talking about. I don't know.
All right, so we're good on that. Okay, next up is Amazon Prime Instant Video might finally come to Android devices. My experience on this was, in order to watch The West Wing on my previously beautiful and fast Nexus 7 tablet, I downloaded, I think, the Plume browser, which and I paid for it. It does like Flash, and I was able to watch it. And then I accidentally bought an episode, and then I called him up and said like, "Yo, can you like hook me up? Because I didn't mean to buy this episode because I can watch it for free." And it was kludgy and I mean just a hellish scenario. But this is an issue because they're obviously deliberately dumbing down their Android presence as far as video because they want you to buy a Kindle device. And they've just come out with their new phone and stuff. So any thoughts on this that, you know, as far as their pseudo adoption of Android, or a fragment of it, pushing it aside and making their own thing, exploiting it. But I'm for this. I mean, I think it would. In the end, I think that they were kind of arrogant, and I'm a huge Amazon fan, but to deliberately dumb down their product so that you can't use the most adopted phone and mobile device format out there to consume their content, I think was a bad decision, and it seems like that they may be addressing that. Alan, what do you think?
Ooh,
Go, Cadeas.
Yeah, Cadeas, go ahead.
okay. Well, what I was gonna say was, and someone just blew me up. I've spent a lot of time with the Amazon Fire, which kind of goes into what you were just saying about how they dumb down their products. And I'm not understanding why Amazon has shut out the majority of the actual Android platform to try to pretty much wall garden the entire user experience to just be them. And really the only person that would really be excited about the Amazon phone is someone that's probably going to be excited about this app being released. So it's probably the same exact app, and I haven't been able to test this app out on Android, but it's probably the same exact app that's on the Amazon Fire phone. It's not something, I don't know, the Amazon Fire phone is really going to be a really niche audience. It really is. It's really going to be for a niche audience, and it's going to be specifically for people who are really engraved in the Amazon ecosystem, which is not very many people that I know of anyway.
Well, there are a lot of people who buy a lot of Amazon stuff and are, by definition in their ecosystem. I and Craig ship, and I'm an Android guy, and Craig ships an iPhone guy. But you've had your hands on this Fire phone for what, a week or two?
About a week and a half.
Yeah. So 10 days. What's your take? Is you sound kind of negative. But
Hang on, before we get to that, I want to finish addressing the point.
Go ahead.
Which is, I'm not entirely sure that's true, Cadeas. There are a lot of people who have Amazon Prime and therefore are in Amazon's ecosystem already. So the question is, are these people buying Fire tablets, not necessarily the phone, but the tablets, versus wanting to use all of that from an Android device, and are they willing to give up their Prime if they don't get it and switch to something like Netflix or Hulu instead? That's the question. And that's the question that Amazon is faced with, and it sure sounds like their answer is, oh, well, maybe people are giving up Prime for these other services. And that's a very telling story, if so. I think the real question is going to be, forget when they support Android, because that's easy for them to do. When are they going to support the Chromecast? That's my question.
And that's the thing, they're probably not. If it's because they got their little Fire TV, so they're probably not going to support Chromecast. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to reposition themselves, but I think that they're doing it way too early, if that makes sense. I feel like that.
You made the point that only people who are going to care about this are people who are already in their ecosystem. I don't think that's true, except for people who already have Prime, and that's a hell of a lot of people.
Well, I can see
there are a hell of a lot of people interested in this app.
I don't know. I we'll see. We'll see. I guess that's the best way to look at this.
Yeah. So let's get to this phone. You've had it. You have an iPhone. You have a top of the line, no bloatware Android phone. So you've seen two of them. So you've seen both of them in their prime, if you will, at their best. And now you have this Amazon phone, and you were one of the first folks to get it pre-release. So tell me your initial view. What are the pros and cons? Because I think Walt Mossberg just put out a review of the phone, and I don't even think he has it yet. And you've got it in your hands. if you could hold it up so we could do an epic screen cap.
I can't hold it up. I can't hold it up.
Damn NDAs. Urgh. So tell me, what do you know, hands-on experience using it in the field? How much time have you spent using it? What's your experience been, et cetera, et cetera?
I've been using it for about a week and a half. My experience has been, I feel limited and I feel boxed in with the platform.
Elaborate on that.
This comes from somebody who is heavily ingrained in other products. I'm not just stuck on one. And so basically they did the Apple approach and said, hey, in order for you to be able to use anything, to be able to use our platform, you have to use our platform. So I don't have the ability to install Hangouts on there. I don't have the ability to install Google Plus on there. I don't have the just whatever they've approved is what you can use. I can't even force install it. Like there were a lot of.
Can you put Gmail?
You can. They have their own proprietary mail program, and you can have that check Gmail for you. But you can't install the Gmail app right now. Now they may change that and put some more apps.
So
in the
it's a
App Store.
joke in its present form. It's a bad joke. That's not funny.
Unless you're in Amazon's ecosystem, it is.
But Amazon's ecosystem is buying stuff. They're not disconnected. In other words, like, I can love Amazon when I want to buy a cable or a book for my Kindle or my Kindle app, but at the same time, I want my Gmail, I want my Google Plus, I want, people want their Facebook, whatever. They're not exclusive. I mean,
and that's the thing. They have some of the key things that they've decided that will make or break their platform. So like there is a Facebook app, and I think it's just the default Android one. There are a couple of things, but like WhatsApp, that's not available. You can't find that on there, at least in the current.
Now I read today that they're going to come out with some quick fix that anybody can turn an Android app into something that will work on this phone. I don't even think this thing's released yet.
It's running Android at its core, but there's some things that are missing. Even on the developer side, there's a lot of things missing. I couldn't even do like a screen record, which is something that's basic in Android, and it's something that you can't do even when you're connecting it through terminal and the whole 9 yards. Like there are things that they have intentionally removed from this device to keep it boxed in. It's kind of.
Were you not a developer? Would there be any reason for you to use or have this phone? Would you consider this? Is this like a disaster, or is this a Nexus Q, or is this an
remember the
HTC
Facebook
One, or
phone?
what kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember the Facebook phone? The
Yeah.
Facebook Home, I think they called it. It is that phone only with restrictions. So imagine you're in Amazon's ecosystem, but
Wow.
you don't have access to anything on the outside in its current form.
Okay, so this is.
And then the Firefly thing, that's a great idea, and I like it. But I mean, if I'm standing in front of the product that I want, and it's only going to be a couple dollars cheaper, I might as well pay the $2 extra or $3 extra and just get it because it's right here in front of me, as opposed to waiting 3 days to save $2. I don't know. I mean, granted, if it was like a $50 difference, obviously you'd wait. But I don't see a use case for Firefly.
I think
That's just,
it's exciting that anything we can do to convince these big box retailers to match prices online is something I'm for. At the same time, as optimistic as I could be about this device, it sounds like a major fail.
now let me tell you what I like about it. What I like about it, if you
Please.
remember the Nexus 4, I still believe that the Nexus 4 was one of probably the top design phone in phone history with the way it's built and the way it's designed. And this phone is built in that same way. It has the same, only it's a little bit thinner, but it's the same feel, and I love that. I was a big fan of the Nexus 4. I still am a big fan of the Nexus 4, even though I don't use it anymore. But that phone puts me in the mind of that. The front, the back, the sides, the weight, all of it, it puts me in the mind of that. It's well designed. And when somebody holds the Nexus 4 and they hold that, they'll see what I'm saying when I say that. Like it's great.
In
as
Walt
far as
Mossberg's pre-review, he pointed to some of the the neat features which could be viewed as gimmicky, but are there things that they've done with their branch off of Android that you think might be worthy of note now that you've
Well,
used it for
there,
10
I guess
days?
that with the four cameras in the corner, your phone can be sitting there, and you can like lean from the left and lean to the right, and it will adjust the screen or the photo that's on the screen, so you can. It's like I can lean all the way over and then look around something that's there. But I don't see that as a use case other than playing games, and then that limits the games that are designed to be only for that phone because nothing else uses that. So now you'd have to focus a lot of development on just that one device in order for you to be able to, I don't know, peek around the corner while you're playing Call of Duty on your little phone or whatever the case is. Like, so I don't see anything. I don't see this taking off very well. For it's just going to be for a limited number of people who are really into the Amazon interface or ecosystem.
My
So-
last question, and then I'll see if Alan and if any of our viewers have a question, please feel free. But Alan, or I'm sorry, Cadeas, this was put forward and portrayed as an Amazon shopping device. So, keeping that in mind, what are the advantages if you are a big, I just every day I buy stuff on Amazon. What are some of the things that this phone offers that my Note 2 and Craig's Apple, iPhone 5S don't offer that this phone does? If you're trying to buy stuff, if you're in a Walmart or whatever store and you're trying to figure out like, is this available cheaper on Amazon? What are some of the advantages that this phone and that ecosystem have?
The ability to recognize pretty much anything. That's something that Google Goggles can do, but it doesn't necessarily point to Amazon.
How does that work? Like you're in a store, you're in a Kroger or a Walmart, a Target, whatever, and you see some product. Like, what do you physically have to do with this Fire Phone to see, what does this cost on Amazon? Is it a quicker experience?
Hold it up. It's going to be a little bit quicker. You hold it up, you hit the Firefly button, the little things come flying around, and they kind of figure out what you're pointing at, and then they recognize it, and then it pops it up on Amazon and shows you the pricing and
Firefly
stuff.
button. There's actually a button specifically for this.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. In the software, it's inside the software. It's a software button, not a hardware button.
Okay. But this is definitely
But at the same time, Google Goggles already does almost the same exact thing too. And that's when you take any picture. You're not gonna be taking a picture of you, and it'll decide if this is a picture of something that you can buy. The only thing is that Google Goggles don't actually point to Amazon. It'll point to everywhere else except Amazon. So
okay.
that's kind of the difference. So we're, as far as being outside of that ecosystem, we're just about there. It's just a matter of some API connecting to Amazon to make it happen which will probably not happen now, but that'll make it happen for Google Goggles.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
and then we do have one comment from looks like it came through Twitter. Gilbert said that if Dan is still watching The West Wing, he should be using an iPhone since he's clearly stuck in the past.
Guilty. I plead guilty. Okay, so Alan, do you have anything on
No.
any comments or questions on the phone that
He
Cadeas
said-
is obviously not really interested in
He said no.
using other than for this program and for any potential development if it unlikely
No, next topic.
turns into a hit. Okay, Google finally adds a flag as inappropriate link to the web Play Store. I wasn't aware that this wasn't there. What's the use case scenario? I mean, obviously, shouldn't there be like, is this, I mean, total anarchy in the Play Store? What the hell's going on, Alan? That like you can just throw anything up in there, or what's the deal?
In the Google Play Store, wasn't that like the whole point of the Google Play Store?
I'm asking. I don't know.
No, I mean it was. I mean Google, pushed itself as we're not Apple. We're not, preventing you from uploading spam and malware to our Play Store because you can do anything you want, right? I mean that was the point of it originally. And now it seems like they finally caught on to the fact that hey, people want to report that applications are crap, and applications are inappropriate and bad, and rating them 1 star just isn't enough because you can get enough sock puppets to rate it 5 stars. So this is a good way to start flagging the research team to finding really inappropriate stuff. I think it's a good move. I'm surprised it wasn't there.
Likewise.
But this has been the Wild West.
Cadeas, any thoughts?
None at all.
Cadeas is known to be an opponent of any kind of censorship on the Play Store for spamware.
And actually, one of the things they point out is this was always doable through the Play Store app, but not on the website, and now this is bringing it to the website. Because, why would you want the same features on both?
Just somebody forgot for a long time.
Yeah, it's like the reason, like when you have a hot video on YouTube, it's stuck at 301, not 300, because it was supposed to be 300, but the guy screwed up coding, and thus it's 301. Microsoft won't let you set Google as default search on some new Luminas. We're obviously stretching for topics here. What's the story here? I know, Cadeas, you're a big Lumina fan. Just kidding.
I guess they don't like Google on some devices, not all of them.
At some point, is Microsoft gonna start innovating rather than retaliating, and coming up with these stupid campaigns? Because I get so disgusted with the Scroogled campaign. I mean, on and on. Come up with something better. It's almost like it's pathetic. It's like if BlackBerry came out with a TV commercial trashing Android. When I don't know. I don't know where to begin with this. But Alan, any thoughts on this?
I don't know. This is, being microshafted. What do you expect?
Oh, that's a good term. We should copyright that. Is that a
Been
site
done.
yet?
Hates Microsoft too, so.
Microshafted?
Microshafted is an old term.
Okay.
I don't know. I think this will, play well into Google's hands. Google probably is thrilled to see this because now it means that they can say, hey, look, there are phones out there that don't use Google's search engine by default. We're not forcing anyone. They don't have to do anything they don't want, therefore dismiss this antitrust lawsuit against us. I think it's perfect.
Excellent. Go Microsoft. Okay, so we have 2 programs. We have this program, which is our Android Week, which is Monday nights at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. And we also have Google Plus Week, which is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Friday night. Friday, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And one of the topics we're going to be discussing this Friday at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific p.m. is Cortana. How do I pronounce that, Alan? Cortana?
I think that's how you pronounce it, yes. Cortana.
Yeah, it's not as good as Google Now yet, and Siri is a non-contender. So tell me what is Cortana, and tell me how Siri is stacking up with the functionality of Google Now, which is something that we use
Cortana is
on a daily
basically-
basis.
Cortana is basically Bing Now. It's really
That almost
It,
sounds naughty. That sounds naughty.
it borrows some of the same concepts that Google Now does, trying to be context aware, trying to be predictive, trying to do a number of give you anticipatory results, which is something that Siri just really doesn't try to do at all yet. Siri is way behind the curve on this front.
And the Amazon one is worse than Siri and Cortana combined. It
So it's like-
is the worst.
It's like early Apple Maps on steroids, basically.
Yeah.
But Cortana, and this is an article written by Danny Sullivan from Search Engine Week, so he knows what he's talking about, and he's pretty fair,
Our former guest.
saying that Cortana is getting there. It does some things fairly well. It doesn't do anything better than Google, and some things it does differently than Google. And some things you can see where it's going, but right now they're intentionally holding themselves back. So, for example, Google will just up and start giving you new results based on what it learns about you, while Cortana will start prompting you with new dialog boxes saying, hey, I noticed you did this. Do you want more information about this? And while it's kind of clear why some people might like that and why people might think Google's is a little bit creepy, the fact that Google just does it and does it naturally and smoothly is really how a personal assistant works. You're nodding, Cadeus. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. Actually, Google. I didn't expect to get through it.
He's so
Google
argumentative.
No, Google Now is more like a personal assistant. When I compare Google Now and Siri, Siri just answers your question, whereas Google Now poses your question beforehand. And so I generally tend to lean towards Google Now for information. Siri is more just a call and response type scenario. Cortana, I have not had any experience with at all. So.
All right, so that happened. Cadeus, what is your website if someone wants to hire you for 6 figures to do some epic app? What's the best website?
Contact Dan McDermott.
I'll forward the information to Cadeus because you probably can't spell Cadeus, and I can't. So there's that.
Cadeus.com.
Cadeus.com. Seriously, you got that?
Yeah, I've had that for a while.
Hell yeah. You probably made up a name, right? Cadeus is like a made up name. Alan is awesome. You can check him out at prisoner.com or email me and I'll forward it to you. This program is Our Android Week, where we talk about all things Android every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Our other program, the award-winning, not really, Google Plus Week, the longest-running show in Google Plus. That is true. That's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Friday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Friday nights. Hope you'll tune in. Hope you'll check us out. And thank you for the comments. And please keep commenting. We love it. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next time. Until then, have a wonderful Android Week.